Hello and welcome to DoreOnTour, and it's this podcast today is going to be talking about the Brazilian wonder kid that is Danilo, and hopefully, and I know that Raphael is in the lobby waiting to join eagerly. Hopefully, he will be, and I say Danilo will be joining Nottingham Forest on hopefully a long-term deal and for a fee of around 20 million euros plus add-ons. That's what's being touted by the media. That being said, there's no official confirmation yet. The Daily Mail are saying it's almost complete. So that's the closest we've got at the moment. But as I say, this episode is going to be about Danilo. If you're interested in Nottingham Forest transfer news, make sure you drop a subscribe, share this video, and also stay tuned later this evening at 9 p.m. where Dole will be bringing you another panel show and bringing you some of their opinions on the games and or the game last night, and also maybe the odd bit of transfer news here and there, I'm sure. So let's welcome Raphael to the stream. Raphael, how are you doing?
Okay, man, and you. Good evening, guys.
I'm good, thank you. It's great to have you on. It's 5 p.m. where you are, so it's a little bit lighter than it is certainly outside my window looking out. Now you're a Palmeiras fan, you're Brazilian, and I kind of wanted to ask you, since you are the best person to ask about this. Tell us a little bit about Danilo, because he's someone that has been kind of, since the January transfer window started, his name was the first on the piece of paper, the first name to be linked with Forest, and 20 million euros was kind of the amount that he was valued at. Can you tell us just a little bit about his character, how good he is at football, what he's strongest at, a bit about his weaknesses? Just tell us a little bit about Danilo.
Okay. Danilo is a young player. He's 21. He was fired from the Youth Academy of Bahia when he was 16, I think. And then Palmeiras Youth grabbed him. And our last coach before Abel saw him play and promoted him right away when he was just 19.
Wow.
Since then, they won two Libertadores, two Paulistão, a lot of titles, one Cup of Brazil, and the guy is like the soul of our midfield. The guy does everything. He goes to the attic, he defends. He is not one-sided, but he doesn't too focus on defend and doesn't too focus on attack. He's a balanced midfielder, great pass, great vision. Usually don't miss a tackle. Sometimes make some finishes. He's a balanced guy, pretty balanced guy.
So a good all-round player, then, you'd argue. And would you say he's worth 20 million? I don't quite know how the Brazilian transfer market works in terms of prices for players, but from 20 million pound players that I'm sure you've seen, not just in Brazil but across the world, would you say that Danilo is definitely living up to that value, if not more?
I think when we talk about his position, that I don't really know how to translate in English, because in Portuguese we call this position like steering wheel. Like, let's say he's a central midfielder.
Box to box, maybe up and down the pitch.
Box. Yeah, box to box. I think 20 million to 25. It's a fair price. The guy is in his prime. In his prime for now, you know, for all we have seen. And he's not forcing, but he doesn't want to stay. He sees that this age and this time is his opportunity to move to Europe. And like I say, for a midfielder, a center midfield, it's a fair price, like 21, 22 millions. The guy has skills. I think it's a fair price.
So obviously, I mean, he would be, if I mean in euros, probably the second. Well, he'd be the second most expensive Forest player in history. So that would be incredible. He'd be the third Brazilian we've bought in this year. So Renan Lodi,
Yeah, Lodi.
Gustavo Scarpa, and I think Renan Lodi as well is a player that's really come into his shell now that Scarpa's there. You know, that kind of Brazilian connection. I know that there was definitely a language barrier that he was struggling with in England. You know, learning the new language and being at Atletico before, it's really difficult for any player to jump into a Premier League side because you need such good talking skills. And Scarpa offers that. When I spoke to him yesterday, it was just like he just spoke to me fluently, and I'm thinking, wow, this is amazing.
Scarpa is an amazing talent. He likes to do other things alongside football. I think you have seen the
Yeah.
footage of the guys making the Rubik's Cube on the plane.
Yes, I've seen that.
He did this in Palmeiras last year. Like almost every player jumped on his bandwagon and started making the cube. I feel like the guy is just he could be successful in whatever area he chooses. His carp is just wonderful.
So in terms of Scarpa, then I mean he's 29, so he's what 8 years the senior of Danilo. Danilo's still got a lot to learn, but you say that he's already in a not a prime as such, but
Really
he's in a
prime.
really good. He's in a good a young kind of prime. He's got good foundations ready for a big career ahead of him.
Yes.
So what was that relationship like between Scarpa and Danilo? Was there a real relationship there? I've seen pictures of them hugging all over the internet, but did they get on quite well? Do you think that chemistry is going to go on if he does join Forest?
Yeah, I think they will go along really well. Um, Scarpa is the guy that likes to poke fun to everybody. He likes to tease guys, and Danilo has the same spirit, but he's a little shy.
Hmm.
So having Scarpa in the club and other Brazilian guys will help him out. Uh, but there's no beef between them. Like these guys have amazing connection, relation. The guys are okay, no problem between them.
Good. I mean, because obviously it's all right. You can buy. I mean, we've bought a lot of players in this the transfer windows, and I think it's something that we've had to do. If I'm going to defend it, to be completely honest, and not all the time do players really work together that well. There's been questions raised over our midfielders, Morgan Gibbs-White and Lewis O'Brien, to whether they get on really well. They're two very good players, and I think Morgan Gibbs-White worked really well last night, and Lewis O'Brien has had good games in the start of the season, but together they didn't seem to have a great chemistry. So,
Okay.
pardon me. How important do you think it is to have not just multiple Brazilians, but multiple former teammates together? And how beneficial do you see Danilo joining Forest be for Forest?
I think I don't know if you guys are struggling in midfield. I think you are,
Hmm.
especially in the defensive side.
Yeah, we are.
I think if Danilo um, um adapts very well, you guys will only benefit. His football is over the roof.
Hmm.
Uh, and with a guy like Scarpa to support him, I think there's no bad things to happen. Like if he adapts well, it's a win-win situation for the club and for him.
Hmm. Well, I mean, obviously, it's a huge buy for Forest, and I mean, there's obviously I wouldn't say there's a huge amount of risks based on what we know about Danilo. I think he's a really steady player, as you've said, and he's box to box, which is important. But it's the defensive attributes that we're really looking for at the moment. We've got a guy called Cheku Kuyate who's out at the moment. He's been a veteran of the Premier League, playing in centre back, CDM. He's played in those positions, and he's steady. He's got a really good amount of stamina as well. And he's been just solid, really. So now he's out injured for 3 months or two months
Oh,
now with a hamstring.
almost
Yeah,
out for
it's
the season.
well, exactly. So it's almost out for a whole season. Well, half the season that we've got left, if that. And it's a really sad time to have lost him. But at the same time, it's also a good time to recruit somebody else that could fill in his shoes, fill in his position. And Aurel Mangala and Remo Freuler, for me, they're just not defensive midfielders. I just think that Freuler, who, by the way, is a great midfielder, is being played out of position a bit, and he looks a bit lost when he's in defensive mid. And Mangala's the same. He's too dangerous in front of the defence sometimes with his passing. But Danilo, for me, looking at what we've seen and what you're telling me, would look like a really good kind of puzzle piece that we'd need in our team. Just someone that we've kind of craved for a while that we haven't really had. So in terms of his pace, though, what is that like? Is he quite a pacey player?
He's the guy. His pace kind of look a little slow. But he usually the guys that starts the plays, the counterattacks, and the ball has to go through him because he has a skill and he has a good vision to find someone open, to pass to Scarpa or to one of their fullbacks to start the construction of the play.
So a point on Scarpa then, because Scarpa actually played as a false nine last night. So he played kind of in the middle of the front three. So would you say that is his best position, or would you say perhaps like a left midfielder, which is what I've seen of him a little bit more? Or
Yes, he definitely strives in left midfielder or like an offensive midfielder centralized,
yeah,
the center of the field.
okay.
Uh,
Because I was gonna, sorry, yeah, carry on.
no, go on, go on.
Yeah, I was gonna say because he played that false nine, and I thought he did play well, and he actually had a quite good game. I say I know that some people were a bit kind of 50-50 about it, but I think he played really well. The problem was he wasn't in a natural position, and you could kind of tell that.
Yes,
You've got Morgan Gibbs White, who really may be the same. He's not exactly made for that position, but
not
he
used to
plays
that
it
position.
better. Yeah, exactly. And I thought that you could have put Scarpa on the left, and it actually would have worked quite well. So on the left, what is he like? I'm guessing good crosses, that kind of thing.
Yes, he likes to go to the end of the pitch, to cross, shot to shoot from outside the box. I don't know. I don't know if he has taken these duties in the games because I just watched his preseason. And in preseason, he was already taking corners, fouls, and everything. He's the guy for do that. Uh, he's amazing doing that. He made a lot of assists from corners here.
Oh, because I was going to say, because him and the one thing that really stood out for me last night with the Brazilians, Renan Lodi and Gustavo Scarpa, was that something that a lot of English players are afraid to do, or certainly like in the lower half of the Premier League and below, is that they're not really they're not really brave enough to make that pass into the box, to play that longer ball to a player that might be in space, to take a bit of a risk and just go for it or have a shot on the edge of the box. And with Lodi, it's like he'll just put that cross in, just get it in there. And that's really good. With Scarpa, it's like that shot that's coming on the edge of the box. Every other player would just be passing it for a million years, whereas he just takes that shot on and gives it a go. So, that element of risk taking, is that just something that is a characteristic of Scarpa, or is that just kind of something that is a bit more popular in Brazilian football, taking that risk and going for it?
Uh, it used to be popular in the early 90s and 2000s, uh, but Brazilian football got a little European style, and not every guy has this feeling for and even for when he see a space open or a guy overlapping this defender and make the pass, make the risk pass, or shoot from whenever you see the goalkeeper slacking. It's become a little rare. Just
Hmm.
special players have.
Would you describe Scarpa and also Danilo, who we're here to talk about? Would you describe those two as special players? Then would you say?
Absolutely, absolutely,
Hmm.
guys. If you take Danilo, you'll be taking half of our midfield.
Wow, all in one player. So
No, Danilo and Scarpa, this combo is half of our midfield.
Wow. Wow. So, and how big of an effect will that have on Palmeiras? I mean, you've obviously already lost Scarpa, but um, yeah, how much of an effect will that have? Will I'm guessing it'll be major.
It's a major for sure. Like I said before, Danilo is a central piece of our midfield. Um, the defense starts with him, the attacks start with him. It will be hard to replace him.
Hmm.
Harder than Scarpa, I think.
Wow. So I mean, it's obviously he's younger as well. Danilo is younger, so it's really difficult when it comes to it, it's really difficult when it comes to replacing such young players that are already so experienced and so mature. Because he said in an interview that he believes he's mature enough to go and play anywhere in the world, which is really good to see that confidence, but also that recognition of his achievements that he's already making. The big question that I wanted to ask you was, and it was something that we spoke about a little bit before, is why do Brazilians do this? What is this about? I wanted to because I don't know if anybody else has noticed this. It's a Brazilian thing. What is this all about? I'm doing it all the time now. Now that Scarpa's doing it, but what
Scarpa
is it
does
all
it all
about?
the time. This thing, like I said before, it's taken from the skateboard and the surf. And these guys do this thing a lot. Say like, it's all cool, bro. It's all cool.
I like that. I like. I really, I really liked. I liked the. I don't know. I just there's just something about it where I was just like, oh, okay, that's yeah. I don't know why. I just thought I'd ask it. But but back to the questions. That's really important. So Danilo's transfer to Forest, which hasn't actually been announced yet, um, it's had some difficult factors to it because there was obviously rumours of a loan back because Palmeiras wanted, or supposedly Palmeiras wanted that loan back, as reported by British media. But over in Brazil, with I think it's UOL, it's called, there was different reports. So, from a perspective of what is the perspective like for you guys over in Brazil? What are you hearing?
Mm, um, I have read just one report by André Hernan, a really respected journalist in the football mean in Brazil. And he said what we talked before. He said that Nottingham made an offer for initial offer of 18 million euros, if I'm not mistaken,
Hmm.
and then a second of 20 because the first was rejected.
Yeah.
And then appears that Monaco entered the negotiation trying to involve players and other stuff, but they didn't. He didn't say that Monaco made an official offer or something. That's where just like talks.
Hmm. Well, so Monaco tried to hijack the deal almost, and at the moment, Forest looking like the leading candidate to sign him. Would you say?
Yeah, but based on what I've heard and read, yes, Forest is the front runner to get Danilo. But like I said before, with this management in Palmeiras, nothing is granted. You have to, nothing's for sure.
Hmm. So what is the situation like at Palmeiras for the guests that might not know? I know we briefly kind of went over it, but what is the situation like at Palmeiras? Because I asked you how big an effect Danilo leaving will have on the pitch, but how big of an effect will it have off the pitch? Because although it will bring investment, you said to me earlier that you weren't quite sure how that investment was going to be used, if at all, to replace him.
Um, no, well, because of that uncertainty that we have with the management, we can't have we don't know for sure where that money will be invested or spent. Um, it's a little strange situation that I don't know if it only happens on my team, but because I follow it closely, I'm certain that I'm sure that that's something wrong inside the office, and they're hiding.
So you feel that maybe so this money is So it's going to be what? There's going to be 20 million plus add-ons. So there's going to be a considerable financial package put in place for you. And you're worried that that's just not going to be reinvested at all, and almost wasted, if you like.
Um, I don't know for sure if it's going to be wasted, but I'm sure that maybe it's not going to have a replacement. They are not going to the market to buy or to try to loan a player. Um, they are betting too much on the youth. Uh, and it's a little scary because my thoughts are exactly like yours. When you have a successful winning team, you have to mix youth and experience and guys that have accomplished trophies and have experience. We can't always bet, this manager is good. He will do everything in his power to make the team be successful, no matter what the players are bringing to the table.
So it sounds like a really difficult state of affairs then at Palmeiras. But one last kind of question before before I ask you to depart, because we're going to be talking about transfers and doing a bit of a Q&A with some of our fans. So thank you for joining. But just before you go, how are you seeing Palmeiras season playing out? And do you really fully believe that this transfer is going to go through? If you were to say to me now, yes or no, do you think it's going to happen, or do you think it could break down?
Um, I I think it's going to happen, but like Palmeiras used me to think, I I do not expect nothing until it's announced by one of the sides, because in Palmeiras we fans are like that, because transfers can melt or fail at the last second every time. Uh, that's an oddly episode. A long time ago, I think it's 2014 or earlier, 2022, at 2014 or 2012, that our president was trying to contract Ronaldinho to play his final year here. I think it's 2014 because it was our 100th anniversary, and they say that he was seeing that they were printed his t-shirt in the stores with 7 Ronaldinho, and hours later he signed Fluminense.
Wow. That would have been, I mean, Ronaldinho is one of the greatest to ever do it, one of my favorite players.
Yeah,
Wow.
and this happened.
That's a real shame. But it goes to show, anything can happen, and anything can almost happen as well. So,
Yes.
but Raphael, I really appreciate you joining me today. You've been a great guest. Do keep in contact, and it'll be great to talk to you again soon. So, thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, James. Appreciate you and Mr. Dar and the opportunity to talk about Palmeiras. Let's go.
Let's go. Hey, all the best for your season, okay? And I'll be getting a
Okay.
Palmeiras shirt. So keep in contact, because I will be getting a Palmeiras shirt, okay?
But I don't have a channel yet. I'm about to start.
Really? Tell us a bit. Have you got like a name, or are you
Really? I just have an idea
okay?
to start this channel because I'm so fanatic and I just keep searching and looking for information about my team, and like the others, I don't care.
Amazing. Well, listen, when you get your channel set up, let us know, and we'll make sure we shout it out and stuff. We really appreciate you, and I'll
For
be
sure, guys.
following it, because I'm now a part-time Palmeiras fan as well. So I love it. I don't know what they
If
say
I
in yeah.
Yeah, go on,
I was
finish.
gonna say I don't know what you say in Brazil, but like parabéns, you know. So
It's close.
congratulations. Let's go. Come on. Well, thank you for joining, my
Yeah,
friend. Take care. Let us know when that channel's set up, and we'll
thank you.
catch up soon. Okay. Cheers.
You guys will be the first to know if I'm open one.
Thank you. Hey, you're a legend. Thank you. Take care now, and thank you for joining. Cheers. So that was Raphael, everybody. Absolute legend. So really appreciate that. When it comes to Danilo and his English, as Raphael said, it's going to be a case of, well, perhaps Scarpa helping him out a little bit. He's not great with his English yet, but it's something that Scarpa can definitely help with. He's already helping Ren and Lodi, so it's good to be able to have players like that alongside him to help him out. And Scarpa, as I found out last night, very clearly, is really good with his English. So, Kel, thank you very much. Remember to get your comments in. There's a couple of people in the lobby, including a certain someone. So it's now looking at some of the comments. We've got D Chapo saying Danilo looks great. I wouldn't mind Gomez and Raphael Vega. I don't think we should take any more of Palmeiras players. I want them to do really well and win some more cups. I want them to win the Copa Libertadores now. So I want them to keep winning cups because I really like Palmeiras now. I don't want to take any more. Danilo's good enough for me, and Scarpa's amazing. So we got some great players off you, like wow. Jack Colback was actually quite good though last night when he came on. Really gave it his all and did a good job. But let's talk transfers then, because at Forest at the moment we're going through a time when we've got a couple of injuries. Obviously, Niakate is expected by the end of the month, but there's been some murmurs around, like kind of rumours that he might not be. I'm pretty confident that he will be coming back. But I don't know anything more than you guys do in that regard. When Willy Bolly went down yesterday, I thought he'd done a knee tendon. It looked like an absolutely awful injury. But thankfully, it wasn't anything too serious, as we would hope, because he got back up and started walking. So perhaps something that might render him out, if he is going to be out at all, for a couple of weeks. But good to see that he got back up and was walking again. So great news on Willy Bolly, I think, in that respect, and played really well. But the need for another defender is still there for Forest. We had a bid rejected for Maxime Esteve. We've had a bid made. Well, we're going to be making a bid reportedly by the Daily Mail for Atletico Madrid's Hermoso, a centre back. So we're interested in a couple of players, and there's no doubt that we've got contingency plans there in case a bid falls through, like it has with Maxime Esteve. And it's really, really kind of difficult when it comes to the January transfer window, because we know that there'll be teams that are really trying to keep hold of players. I'm sure Montpellier want to keep hold of Esteve because of the fact that he's only 20 and he's already accumulating so much game time and so much experience and stuff like that. So Esteve really important, but I don't think we're going to sign him. If I'm being completely honest, I've not heard anything about a bid yet, so I don't know if we're going to go back in for him. We got an 11 million euro bid rejected. We're also looking at, as I say, Hermoso on a loan, but I'm not quite sure how the loan would work, if we'd need an obligation to buy at the end of it or not. It's a bit of a difficult situation with loans, because within Spain, you can actually have more than one loan from a club, the same club. But in the Premier League, it's like you can't have more than two loans, and you definitely can't have one player from another Premier League club. You can't have two players from the same club on loan to you. So, but I don't think that's the same in Spain. Pardon me. So it's a really, really, really difficult situation in regards to loans. But that being said, I think we'll probably go the permanent route. We're looking at, in the attack, Arnaut Danjuma, which I'm sure many of you will be aware of. He's a winger, plays for Villarreal. But I can now confirm this evening that Bournemouth are, as per the reports in the Daily Mail and the likes, and also a couple of Bournemouth accounts, Bournemouth are now in the running to sign Arnaut Danjuma. So there's a couple of teams that are interested. I think Everton was one that was named, and now Bournemouth, and also us. So it's the bottom half kind of teams that are looking at players like Danjuma. Obviously, Monaco are interested in Danilo as well. But as Raphael told us very confidently, he believes that Danilo will sign for Nottingham Forest for 20 million euros plus add-ons. So it will rise above 20 million euros. It would not surprise me if it goes above 26, 27 million euros, to be completely honest. It's a huge deal, second biggest in Nottingham Forest history. That being said, there's still a lot of work to be. I say still a lot of work to be done on the negotiations. I'm not quite sure if there is, because the personal terms were agreed. Danilo wants to come to Forest. He wants to play in the Premier League, and he wants to play with Scarpa again. it's that's what he wants to do. He's a young player and he's already got that opportunity. It's a great chance for him. The problem was there was some concerns about maybe a loan back to Palmeiras, or some people were reporting that maybe we were going to loan him and then buy him at the end of the loan. There's lots of varying reports, but I think Brazilian media might be the ones to probably trust a little bit more, because we all know how the British media can be with things. But as it stands, it's looking like it's going to happen probably in the next few days. Second biggest deal in the club's history. Lots of money involved. But it's clear, and this is a statement by the owners, I think, that we mean business. And there's going to be another there's going to be around 40 to 45 million spent in this transfer window. It would not surprise me. So once we've got him, this CDM, Danilo, who, well, he's a box-to-box, as Raphael described him. He's going to be coming into the team, and then we're going to be looking at a defender and a forward based on the current trends of players we're linked with. So, yes, to answer your question, I would say it's nearly done based on the information that we have. It's looking very likely. And as I say, 20 million plus add-ons. So let's have a look at some of these comments. Raphael certainly was a great guest. He was absolutely brilliant. Really appreciate his contribution. All the best to Palmeiras. And yeah, I'm going to give it a bit of this again. I love doing this. It's my favorite thing to do now. So if anybody can sort me out with a Palmeiras shirt, I'd be really grateful. Looking at this, known Everton in for the Everton one who we have. Gustavo Scarpa. And I mean, we do joke about it. We do, because naturally you will do that. But Brendan Johnson, I'm sure he was good friends with Nico Williams. They were teasing it all throughout the summer. And I'm sure that Brendan Johnson probably played a part in Nico coming to Forest. They're friends. So when people do say, even Paul Pogba at United a few years ago, when people say Agent Pogba or Agent Brennan or now Agent Gustavo, it's not always something that we should laugh off, because it's actually quite a serious part of a player joining a club. If they've got people that they know there and people that they can work with well, that's great. And also chemistry-wise on the pitch, it's fantastic. So we can joke about Agent Gustavo, but actually I think it'll play a much bigger part than people think. It's good that Gustavo Scarpa is on our side, not just for the playing ability, but also perhaps asking Danilo to join us. That'd be brilliant. I think it is pretty close to being done. I'm really pleased to be telling you that. I'm pleased just as much as you guys are, being a fan myself. But any questions you do have on any transfers, feel free to put them down in the description, and also, down in the comments. And also make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get Dore to 11k, because he deserves it. And I'm going to be doing a few transfer shows as well here and there, I'm sure, until the 31st of January. In fact, I may even do a deadline day stream. Maybe I might do a deadline day stream. Could you imagine? It'd be an all-nighter. It would be an absolute all-nighter. We nearly had it with Batshuayi in the summer, but we're not going to go there again. Any news on Bolly? Nothing at the moment. He got back up, which says to me that it isn't a major injury. I did question when I was on the commentary last night whether perhaps adrenaline was a part of that. You know, obviously when you're really feeling in the moment, are you getting back up and kind of seeing through the pain a bit? I think it's good that Cooper took him off, because although it was a shame to see him come off and be replaced, we didn't want to risk anything. I think it's of course disappointing to see him come off, but like with Niakate, when he stayed on after he got the initial hamstring knock, if you like, it only really made it worse. And there's no way really of telling now how bad of an effect that had on his long-term injury status, because obviously he's been out for months and months and months. And I would say actually that did play a part in it. So if there is, if there is an injury to a player, the best thing you can do is just to take him off, unfortunately. And I thought it was a bit worse with Bolly, but thankfully it doesn't seem to be the case. But I can't promise you that at the moment. The one problem with Danilo is that he is coming off their closed season, and so we'll need a pre-season before he's available. Which is there's a lot of difficult third-party issues that come with this transfer. Not to say it'll be easy. But I'm sure it's something that Forest are taking into consideration, and he'll be ready when we need him. But we're going to have to wait and see. C1, yes, Jay, how are you, mate? I hope you're doing good. I think that's Callum. If it is, then I hope you're doing good. And if it's not, I hope you're doing good. Guys that are joining in, thank you for joining. We're going to be closing the stream in a few minutes, so make sure you get those last questions in. Make sure you get them in speedy, and make sure you like and subscribe, and share this video as well. Who do you think will leave Forest in the window? Ooh, I think that maybe I don't want it to happen, but maybe a loan for Lewis O'Brien till the end of the season, perhaps, will be more sensible than selling him. But maybe a loan for Lewis O'Brien until the end of the season. I can see. I can probably see Dennis leaving. It might not be a straight transfer. That must be said, because I'm pretty sure he can't play for another club this season, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's already played for Watford this season. So I think you can only play for 2 clubs, but you can register for 3, but you can only play for 2. So I think it would be more likely that Dennis would leave on loan with an obligation to buy at the end of it. So unless registration rules are different in other countries and other football associations across the world, then I'm pretty sure that Dennis wouldn't actually be able to play for another team. What about Omar Richards? Should they cancel his contract and use the wages to sign someone else? No, I don't think so. I really like, to be honest with you, Sebastian, I'm going to be biased. I've always liked Omar Richards, followed his progress since he left Reading and before. So I think he's a really, really good kid. I think he's got great attributes. He is a very good player. And he's played with some of the best at Bayern Munich. So I'm really impressed with the progress he's made over the last few years. And of course, it's really difficult because obviously we want to see him play. And I know people are saying we've spent like 8 or 9 million on him and it's a disappointment. But at the same time, I can't imagine his wages are ridiculous. There'll be good wages, I'm sure. But at the same time, I think when we do have him, he'll really come good. And look, players go through difficult times. Players go through injury. You just can't write them off. You really can't write them off. Niakate is going to come back as brilliant as ever, and Omar Richards will come out and show us why he should be, or maybe the left back of choice. And he will definitely show us why he needs to be in that squad. So, but with Renan Lodi in form, makes it so difficult. Toffolo's, he's not really getting a lot of game time, but he's playing okay when he does play. So, you're going to have 3 left backs if Omar Richards comes back before the end of the season. So there's a difficult situation for Steve Cooper when it comes to team selection. That being said, I'm sure it's a headache that has been had already, and that there is plans in place just in case. So in regards to Omar Richards, no, I'd keep him. And as Kel says, Dennis can go to the MLS. And yeah, Claire. So the MLS or Saudi Arabia / the Middle East, it wouldn't surprise me if a club like Al Nassr made a bid. It probably wouldn't be Al Nassr actually because of their foreign player quota. But maybe Al Hilal or any of those players in the Saudi League and obviously Qatari League as well that could make an offer. So in regards to Omar Richards, keep him. In regards to players leaving, Dennis, I would say, is the main one. I think that Cafu will leave. I know he's not actually in the squad registered, but I think he'll go back to Portugal, probably with Vitoria. Maybe I don't know if Lyle Taylor will leave, but there's a few players that could leave. But for me, I think Dennis and Cafu are the 2 players that I could probably say are most likely to leave, and then maybe Lewis O'Brien on loan somewhere. I just don't think Lewis O'Brien has that same chemistry with other midfielders in the side. And I don't think it's because he's not good enough, but it's just the way it is. Loan storage, same with O'Brien, get rid of Cook. I don't think Cook will leave. I know he has no intentions to. And at the same time, I think he's trusted by Steve Cooper. And Beso, yeah, probably to get a loan. Jordan Smith, I'd be surprised if he leaves. Obviously, we've got Can Juric now, but I don't know. On those players, I don't know. When it comes to Surridge, I'm not sure of the relationship between him and Steve Cooper. I know that Sam Sawyer just said he wants to stay and fight for his place at Forest. But with the way that Forest are playing now, it's almost like a false nine for the first 60 minutes or 70 minutes, and then they go with the number 9 towards the end. Yeah, it's a really, really difficult one. It's a really, really difficult one. But I think with Surridge, I think maybe a loan would actually suit him better. I don't think there's much. I don't know if it's much point fighting for that, because I think there is a point. I think if you're a professional footballer and you want to try, and that's a great attitude to have. But we seem to be playing with a false 9 quite a lot. Scarpa's not a false 9, so I didn't think that was the best option. But we do seem to be playing with that false 9, and it seems to be working a bit better. The counter-attacks have been really good, and getting in front of goal, we look strong. So whether we're going to bring in a number 9 in January, I actually don't think we will. I don't know if we will actually bring in that number 9 in January, to be completely honest with you. Thoughts on Forest being in Danjuma? I think it's a good, solid transfer if it does happen. He's a player with a lot of experience, Champions League team of the tournament last season, 21 to 22. He's got experience under his belt. I think he's 26. And he is a good player. He's played in a multitude of leagues, and he's been with Bournemouth before, so he knows English football. I'm not so sure if we're going to get him, because I can imagine that there's probably going to be other players that we're going to be linked with in the next couple of days. But we'll wait and see. It's such a difficult situation when it comes to transfers, because there's so many names being thrown about, and it's just who will join us. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think Hennessy will go. I don't think so. I think we're going to stick with him to the end of the season and beyond. Eve says, do you think we'll get 1 or 2 Premier League experienced players from another Premier League club? Potentially, but I think we're probably going to go with players that are from abroad, that have had experience in kind of not the international competitions, but the large domestic leagues. Or even, the continental kind of things that they've been achieving, like with Danilo and the many Brazilian trophies. He's got a lot of experience. So even if it's not Prem experience, it's experience, and they're ready to jump in the first team. I think probably Hwang Uijo, I think that's how you say his name. I think he'll probably leave. I know that there's interest from the MLS there. There's been a couple of teams that have been attempting to speak to agents. So that's something that will probably likely happen. I think Hwang will leave. He's not played for Forest at all, and I don't think he will. Josh Bowler, obviously Blackpool, so nothing changing on that. And Josh Bowler can't come back and play for us because he's already played for 2 clubs this season in Europe. So there's not a lot we can do on that behalf. But I just want to thank you all for tuning in and listening. Really appreciate it. I'm in London in the morning, so I'm leaving at 6 in the morning. So I will have to cut the stream there. But I just want to say a big thank you to Raphael Cavallaro for joining me earlier. And a big thank you to Dore for allowing me to stream this. It's been a real honour and a real pleasure to bring you some transfer news. Do keep in contact with I'm Jamie Martin on Twitter. I'll be bringing you all the Twitter latest football news and transfer news from Nottingham Forest as and when it happens. But as for us today, that is all from us. That is all from DoreOnTour this evening. Make sure you're staying tuned with future content, and also the preview that's coming at the post-match review that's coming at 9 p.m. this evening. Stay tuned here. Stay on this channel. It'll be coming in the next 15 minutes. But as from me and Raphael, it's all well and good. Take care now. Goodbye.